for,
Not there yet. I hope I
all
didn't
right.
spoil anything.
No, I'm sure you haven't. Lisa said you hadn't. I just want to look at this
Ah,
poll.
it looks like we're live now.
Okay, well, oh, yes, we are.
Hello, dear teachers. Hello,
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 everyone.
hello.
Welcome.
We are really, really glad to see you here this night. So, today we are going to have a very important topic. But before we start, I see that we had a nice question in the chat just to get to know you, dear teachers, more. Like, how long have you been staying with Novakids already? And I can see that the winner is 6 months to 2 years. And we even have
Oh,
more than 2 years, which is so cool. And you know what is the coolest? That we have people who are outside Novakid. They're not teaching at Novakid, but they're our guests.
well,
Everyone,
welcome.
welcome once again. Hello, hello, hello. All right, I'm excited, and I hope you're excited as well, because this webinar is so great. And even while preparing it, I learned some tricks from Marcia, and we shared our knowledge, and I hope we will pass it
The
to you this
same.
night. So, this is Marcia, and like you, she is a NovaKid teacher. She has been with NovaKid for more than 4 years now. Let's give a warm welcome to Marcia.
Hello, Marcia. Hello. Hello, teachers. And thank you for the warm welcome. Oh, Stephen, I see you saying hello. Hello. I see lots of people, a lot of names that I recognize. Thank you for joining us. Everyone from all over the place, as well as the Philippines. I take my hat off to you for being up so early. You're waking up, and I'm about to go to sleep now. So thank you for coming. All right. It is great to be here, and I would like to thank you, Marina, and teachers. Let's me introduce you to my co-host. This is Marina. Marina is a teacher development manager who has a wealth of knowledge from working both as a teacher for younger kids and as a teacher trainer. She has been with Novakid for more than 3 years. Why don't you give her a shout out in the chat? Hello, Marina.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Hello. Oh my God, there are so many messages. Hello,
I can
Vanessa. Hello,
see.
Daisy. Hello, Miss Maria. Hello, everyone. I just cannot name everyone. Wow, dear teachers, we are so amazed. And just to warm up a little bit before we actually jump into the topic, let's do a quick questionnaire. I'm sharing my screen now. And on my screen, you can see a QR code. So you grab your smartphone, just scan it and jump to my Menti. Or you can follow the link, which is pasted right now in the chat. If you don't want to scan, you can do it on your computer or wherever. Just follow the link. When you're there, give us thumbs up so that we know that you joined and we can start. Thumbs up, thumbs up.
Okay,
13,
it's
14.
climbing. Yes.
Yay, it's surging. Super good. Hello, teacher Lizanne. Yay, that is it. Let's wait a little bit more. I'm so excited to see everyone. We
Yes,
will
me as
have,
well. There's a lot of teachers here. Whoa, 126, 129 teachers are here today.
oh my
Welcome,
God,
everyone.
so many teachers. Let's just wait 5 more seconds. Just 5, 4, 3. Join us. 2, 1. Let's go with the warm up. Okay. So, dear teachers, let's look at this wonderful picture presenting types of teachers and how they feel about teaching grammar. And how do you feel about grammar? Number one, you're just stuffed with props, so energetic, ready to teach. Or number two, really, really sad because the student doesn't understand and you don't know what to do, you're so desperate. Or number three, just bored with this routine of explanation. Just drop a pin on the relevant image, which is up to you, right? Drop us a pin.
Wow. I
Hmm.
see a lot of them, I'm surprised, are number one.
Yay, that's so cool. I can see some teachers numbers two, number three, which is okay. There is no correct answer or
Yes,
incorrect answer.
exactly. I'm in between number one and number two. It depends on the students. So yikes, I understand where they're coming from.
Honestly speaking, I think it depends on the day as well. One day we're energetic, another day we
Exactly.
are bored. But I hope that after this webinar, numbers two and three will move and join number one group. Well, thank you, teachers. Moving on. Let's do a yay or nay challenge. You know that from social media. So give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Vocabulary is more important than grammar. What do you think? Is it a yay or a nay?
Wow. I'm surprised vocabulary is taking the lead, yeah.
Huh, interesting. Well, actually, yes. If you have only grammar but you don't possess vocabulary, then you can't speak. You can speak a little bit if you have only grammar without if you have only vocabulary without grammar.
Exactly,
Difficult.
exactly. You can just
Yeah, that is it. Okay. Well, teachers, honestly, we are here for grammar. You could hit me. Okay, cool. Marcia, could you read us the next question?
Of course. Native teachers. All right. No, wait, where am
Ah,
I going? Du- 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 du. It's easier
it,
to teach grammar for native teachers than non-native teachers. What do you think? Yay or nay? Is it easier
huh,
for native teachers to teach or non-native teachers to teach grammar?
that
I
is
see
an
it's thin.
interesting.
I'm actually surprised. It is easier to teach grammar for native teachers than non-native. I would have said, well, now I'm not understanding this because I think it would be easier for a non-native teacher to teach
You know
because
what? I am a non-native and
well,
you're a
exactly. And I'm a
native.
native, exactly. And I found when I was at school, oh, teachers didn't tell you about what the tenses were. They just taught it to you and you just had to, you know it, but you don't know what it's called,
Right.
so I don't
But
know.
actually, this is something our parents mostly think about because when they come to Novakid, they want to pick the teacher. Some of them believe that the natives know better and they choose the natives only. Others think that probably non-natives were taught the rules, and although their language is B2, C1, and so on, but they can teach better because they were taught like this. So again,
Exactly.
there is no correct or
No,
incorrect.
exactly. This is just everyone's opinion, and we
Yeah, we
welcome that.
present both sides. Cool. Moving on.
All right. Should,
You should always. Oh my
sorry,
God,
Marina.
I see my connection is a bit unstable. I hope with you. You should always use correct grammar and full terms when explaining grammar. Mm.
Hmm.
Ha ha ha. I can see that first
Okay.
we had equal votes, but
Yes.
now nay going forward. Yay. Uh, it depends. It depends on the situation, I would say. We will talk a lot about this later in the
Hmm.
webinar. But again, always is when, in which situation. So, uh-huh. Cool. Thank you, dear teachers. That's amazing. Thank you for your opinion. So let's move on. While I am resharing my presentation, thank you for this wonderful warm-up, by the way. Uh,
All
I-
right.
Today we talk about teaching grammar.
Yes. All right. Thank you, teachers, for taking part in the Menti. But let's start. All right. In today's agenda, we will be discussing the following: the importance of grammar, how grammar is evolved through levels and lessons, tips to teach grammar structures, And of course, at the end, Q&A. All right, please. Should any of you have any questions that you would like answered, please type it in the chat. And our lovely behind the scenes coordinator, Lisa, will collate all the questions which we will address at the end of the webinar. Why don't you give Lisa a warm shout out too?
Hi,
Hello,
Lisa.
Lisa.
And also, dear teachers, if some answer your question because the lack of time, or if you come up with more questions after the webinar,
Mm,
look at the feedback form at the end of the webinar. It will be in the chat, and you can fill it in, and post your questions there. And also, you need to fill in the feedback form if you would like to get certificate of attendance so that we can find you and send you the certificate, right?
yes. All right.
Great.
Thank you, Marina. All right. Shall we move on? All right. Why teaching grammar is important. What do you teachers think? Why is teaching grammar important? Why is grammar important? Why don't you type it in the chat and let's see, what you think.
Mm-hmm.
All
Okay.
right. Why teaching grammar is important? All right. Shall I give them, let's see. To avoid misunderstandings. Very good. That was who? Ruby. Very nice, Ruby. Help us
Mhm.
communicate better and effectively? Yes. And for fluency? Very good. All
Absolutely.
right. So let me tell you what I think. Very good points, teachers. Thank you very much. Grammar helps students, to speak fluently and confidently, and it also enables them to express their ideas clearly. At Novakid, teaching grammar is great. As we don't just jump right in and say to a very new or beginner student, what is a present continuous tense, especially if they are on a lower level. Uh, no, we start by teaching them pieces or chunks. If you want to think of it like building a Lego house, we slowly start building the foundation and then we make our way up. All right. We also try to keep it age appropriate and we grade our language. And we try to keep the teacher talk time, down to a minimum without over complicating the explanation or instruction. All right,
Mhm.
we've now, let's look at several reasons why we teach grammar. All right, we teach grammar for clarity and precision and communication. Grammar provides us with the structure and the rules needed to use the language correctly, to form clear, precise sentences. And without proper grammar, meaning can become ambiguous or confusing. So we could say, let's eat grandma. Or we could say, let's eat, Grandma. So which one do you teachers think is correct? Do you think it's the first one, let's eat, Grandma, or the second one? What do you think?
I see that the teachers just love this.
Yes, of course, it's the second one. Well done. Oh, maybe I should give you all a star. All right. Shall we move on, Marina? Okay, grammar also supports reading and writing skills. Without grammar, writing can become unclear and reading comprehension is compromised. Students who understand grammar are better at constructing well-formed sentences and paragraphs, making their writing more engaging and coherent. I still don't know what that means. Entrance only, do not enter. What is that? It says it's the entrance, but we mustn't enter. I don't know,
You dare.
I don't know what I would do. I think I would stand there and look like an idiot, saying, now what am I supposed to do? So yes, it's very important.
Honestly, I would prefer to keep away from that door just in case, because this is how the horror stories start.
Well, exactly. You don't know.
Yeah, you never know. Okay, let's move on. And I would say that correct grammar is really essential in professional and academic setting because when the grammar is correct, it creates the impression that the speaker has competence, that the speaker respects their listeners or readers, if this is a written communication. But even the strongest ideas lose impact when grammar is poor. That is why grammar is a part of your professional image.
Mm, I agree. All right, confidence and language use. A good comparison on why grammar is important. It is like learning the rules of a game. Once you understand them, you can play skillfully and even bend them for style. As teachers, we teach them the rules so they can play the game and win. The comparison causes people to get the idea for something lasting for a long time and not being easily knocked down. When we teach students grammar, we build a good foundation and we start to build on their knowledge. Much like how we use scaffolding to support the building of a house or a skyscraper. Phew, I'm talking a lot. I hope I'm not speaking too fast. So just bear with us. All right. We've discussed the why. Let's now talk about the how.
Okay, let's look at this beautiful scheme of present simple evolution. What does this mean? It means that actually grammar doesn't appear only once within the learning course. If you look at any
Mm,
learning course, you will see that grammar is recycled from level to level and more layers are added up. For example, in the Novakid curriculum, on level 0, they learn just the construction. I like, I don't like, nothing else. On level 1, they would probably add he, she likes and the question, do you like? But still, the complete picture is not built. They are just the structures. We do not discuss the rules. But on level 2, we already get to discussing present simple as a tense with all the forms. On level 3, we add up the comparison between present simple and present continuous. And finally, on level 4, we revise the tense and speak about adverbs of frequency. What does this mean for us as teachers? Well, first of all, we would like to avoid teaching more than is presumed by the level. What I
mm,
mean, on level 1, we would not go teaching other forms which are not on the curriculum. For example, we like, they like, and so on. Just what is there. And second, when we explain something, give instructions, we would not like to use the structures which are above the student's level. That is why we need to remember about language grading once again. And now we know how it all works on the curriculum level. Let's look into a separate lesson. And all lessons, in Novakid at least, are built around PPP. But what is PPP? Present, pray, and panic? Or what? Teachers, type in the chat, what is PPP? We need a winner. Who knows?
all right, I've got one. Please practice patience.
Yes,
That
that is
that
what
that's
we need.
that is good, isn't
Absolutely, patience we need.
it?
Oh, we have winners.
Oh, do we have? Ah, yes, we do.
Dellers in Rowena were the first, nearly simultaneously. Presentation, practice, production. These are the biggest parts of each class, at least here at Novakid. Wow. So let's look at each of these stages really quickly. First goes the presentation. Normally, it goes like this. The student meets the structure somewhere, maybe in the comics. We do not focus on it yet, we just notice it. It is just there. Then after that, we activate prior knowledge. For example, this is level 2, but as we know from level 1, they already learned I like, I don't like. So we would practice a little bit with that to revive the knowledge. And only after that, we will transfer to this wonderful table chart to practice the structure in full. Marcia, would you share some teaching tricks or techniques which we normally use on this stage?
Well, I can tell you what I do. So what I do is I draw the structure. I like, I don't like, he likes, he doesn't like, or, to make it less boring, I try to take turns with the students and I'll say the positive structure, you say the negative. So I would use my props and I would say, I like bananas.
I like lemons.
I don't like lemons. Yes, exactly. And I've got a whole lot of props. I'll say I like apples. I don't like plums. Or use things like that. It's all about, once the student gains confidence, they will automatically say it themselves. But I don't push it or whatever. But at the end of the drilling, I always ask them, concept questions because it is very important that you check to see that they're not just saying things like a parrot or reading like a parrot, but that they actually understand, what it is that they've actually done. So then I'll say, what do you like,
Mm,
Marina?
I like cakes.
Ah, very good. All right. And don't like?
I don't like soup.
Very good. Thank you, Marina.
Well,
All right.
great.
Now, a question to you, dear teachers. What shouldn't be done at the presentation stage? What is a total nay here? Please type it in the chat. What do you think?
And while you are typing, I will give you a hint with the story which happened to me when I was a student. Our teachers somehow, when they presented the topic, they would immediately ask us, the students, to produce 3 or 4 sentences with the target structure right after the presentation. And for us, it was a bit complicated and confusing because we have just um, learned about the existence of this structure and now we need to produce something. So the production was a little bit too early then, right? So, what do you think, dear teachers, what should not be done at the presentation stage? Okay,
I like the one, no explanation. Just do it. I can't, unfortunately, I think it's a Russian, or I'm not quite sure what name it is. So I stand offense or I beg
Alisa,
forgiveness.
Alisa.
Oh, is it? Well, I think that is great. Yes. There's
I
a
see
few
some
good
teachers
ones. Yeah.
agree that no production yet. Don't talk too much. I love that.
I used to get into
Over
trouble.
explaining. Yes, really,
Mm.
because sometimes the teacher would go into lecturing, but my advice would be to substitute lecturing with CCQs and guide your students' understanding with the questions, right? All right, moving on to the practice stage. Well, the student has a lot of various exercises in each class where they can practice, changing from a lot of teacher support to less and less and less teacher support, right? So our task here is just to correct errors so that they don't get fossilized, to spot the weak points and to fix them immediately, right? So, but sometimes there is a tricky situation. What if your student is stronger and they immediately grasp the concept and you notice that by the second exercise they already get bored? What should you do in this case? You would love to skip some material to move on to the more complex, but would you skip slides? Can you skip slides? What do you think, Marcia?
Yikes. For me, no. As I see it, well, it depends. As I see it, the slides are there for a reason and, are to be covered. I mean, when I skip a slide, oh, yeah, I'm afraid that an assessor would see this, and subtract some points for skipping. But now, on the other hand, it depends on the student. If it is just repetitive and I can see that they are bored, because as they know it really well, then yes. However, in saying that, I'll always ensure that I cover all of the lesson objectives.
Absolutely. Totally correct. Let me explain how this works. Well, if you skip the complete lesson stage, let's say you skip the presentation because you're so confident in your students' knowledge and go directly into practice, then of course this is not fine. You skipped, first of all, some of the lesson objectives. Second, you don't really know what your student is up to.
Mm.
You haven't checked yet. So it's not fine. We are not skipping the stages. But of course, as you already said, we follow your students' needs. If we see, we have tested, we see that they are already there, they know everything, they grasp the concept, you can handpick several exercises which benefit your students more and skip the rest and move to the more difficult parts like free as practice or even more complicated slides for fast finishes and so on. But remember, you are the boss in class. You can adjust the structure, but there should be a reason behind it. Go with your students' needs.
Yes, I agree with you
Then,
100%, Marina.
yeah, let's see, what do our teachers think? Can we skip slides? Yes, it depends on the student's capacity, absolutely.
Yes.
Right. So, since we are on the same page now, let's move on to the production stage, finally. Well, we can also call it freer practice, right? Because the student already gets practically no teacher support. They form their own sentences freely and they don't have the basic structure on the page, so they don't use it to form sentences. They go free. And the teacher's task here is simply to provide them with the chance to practice their fluency. But error correction is still important, yet there are three rules. First of all, we correct only the target grammar. If, let's say, we practice present simple, then you can skip some mistakes with the articles because they are not the target right now. Second rule is we try to provoke self-correction. For example, we do not interrupt the student and use just reformulation. No, 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 she likes, elicited from the student. This discourages them a lot. So we try to get them self-correct. She like or she likes, giving them two variants, and they choose. Or you can use a cliffhanger. She likes. Okay. And as you noticed, we prioritize delayed error correction. This is the rule number 3. We do not interrupt, but we give them the chance to practice fluency and to finish their speaking. And that is
Yeah.
it.
Yes, well, I do apologize, Marina. I need to interrupt you here, but to be honest with you, I hardly ever make it to the freer practice stage. What would you recommend? I'm not quite sure if other teachers also, but I would love to hear your advice.
No problem. Actually, the freer practice, the production, is kind of our final result of learning the topic. And it's okay if the student doesn't make it to this stage within one class. Maybe they are not ready yet. But I should also say that production doesn't only happen at the end of the class. For example, you give them a pause in the middle of the class when they can relax and talk about something they would like. Or you talk to them at the beginning of the class during warm up. So, what you can do is to utilize the target structure so that the student uses it in their speaking. And here is our production. Here is our freer practice, right? And also just look at this slide A. It is somewhere in the middle of the lesson. It's not at the end, but you already do it in the course of the class. So you do some production anyways. Why do I say this is a production? Because there is no basic pattern of an answer. They need to recall how to answer themselves, right? They need to recall the structure. Well, and what if you skipped some slides? And you realize that your student still makes lots of mistakes during the production stage and they need more practice, that you made a mistake. Can you go back?
Mm. All
Absolutely.
right. Yes. Sorry, Marina. I see there's a very good question here
Okay.
from, I think it's Bottleneck Pieces. Oh, don't run. What if their parents are the ones who are impatient and want their child to answer correctly right away?
That is
You-
interesting. do you mean that they want you to correct all the mistakes of the student, right? But in this
Do you,
case, we should probably go with the parents' need right away, immediately. But in your comment, when you write feedback to the class, you should probably mention that the student was great. They worked a lot on this current topic, but perfection will come later. We do not expect them to be 100% with everything they learned before. So they did a good job. They will get perfection in the course of studies.
yes. All right. Thank you, teachers. Awesome question. Sorry, if we haven't answered your questions, we will try and address them also. Please be patient or
I'm sorry,
bear with
Marcia. I
us.
just realized that we got distracted with the question and we didn't answer our question. Like, can you go back with the slides? Yes, definitely. Absolutely. Remember, you are the boss. In this case, can just go back to the practice slide, pick some exercises, and get back to the end of the class with the production. You're fine.
Yes. And then don't remember, Marina, also that new feature which is on our platform.
Ah, yes, we have a very new feature which came here just maybe 2 or 3 months ago. You can adjust one lesson back and forward. So, for example, if this is lesson two of studying this particular structure and you realize you need to revise something from the presentation stage, you can go back one class, take some slides there, revise it with the student, and go forward one class to where you have already studied before.
Mm.
That is it.
All right. Thank you. All right. We now, all right, shall we move on to the fun? Now the
Yes,
fun
one
part.
part.
All right, we have discussed the why and the how. Now let's give you some tips on how we present some grammar forms. You know, both Marina and I will be showing you our teaching styles on what works for us. And should you have any suggestions or improvements that you think we should make, please let us know in the chat. Or, you know, to rather tell me, you know, what you do if it is different from what we do, as I'm always looking, you know, for new refreshing ways to teach grammar. Okay, so a question to you teachers. All right, well, sorry, let me rather say, yes, look what we're going through, articles. So before I start, who can tell me on what level this grammar topic is taught?
I think the
Type it
pros
in the
can also guess not only the level but
Ah,
the unit.
Fatma, first one to answer. Level one, yes. And any other
Exactly.
information?
Mm-hmm. No, level one unit. No one else.
One.
Unit
Yeah, well
one,
done,
Stephen.
Stephen.
We
And
knew
how
that.
can I tell you the next answer? Because I taught it not so long ago. Lesson three.
Wow, you are a super duper pro.
All right. Now, what should the teachers know to master this topic?
The teacher
What
or
do
the
you?
student?
Oh, you're so right. What should the student know? Yes, to master this topic. What do you teachers think? What should the student know?
What we mean is that you just take a step back and have a bigger picture. When they have learned this topic, they already differentiate between which concepts. What do they know? Yes,
Okay, Sadi says vowel
vowel
sounds,
sounds.
velvet
Yes.
contact. Okay.
Articles. Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
this is articles. Yes, this is what we're going to be teaching.
Yes, vowels and consonants, as I can see.
Yes.
Okay. Marcia, and how do you usually explain the rule here?
Well, do you know what? It depends on the student's level. You know, I usually teach them how to draw a happy face, you know, using my magic letters. I have a whiteboard which I use, and I say, you know, that's how I do it. I don't actually tell them the words vowels or consonants because consonants is a long word, you know, for
Level one.
exactly, I would think.
Ah, that is it. Okay, can you just demonstrate how you do this, how you teach the students articles? You
All
mentioned
right.
something about happy face?
Yes, I will show you. What I do is, yeah, my happy face. Do you know what? If the student, I normally tell the student, that is for one and an is used for one thing. And when the word starts with my magic letters, which is going to be on my face, which I'll show you, um, we use an if it's the letter is on my magic, my face. And sometimes if the student has paper on hand, I usually get them to, copy what I'm doing. And, we make it fun by giving it eyelashes or changing the colors. But A is my eye, E is my other eye, E is for my nose, A is for my head, and A is for my mouth. And of course, yes, let's give it some eyelashes. And that's what I do, for the students.
Wow, amazing. Teachers, take the screenshot so that you can do the same in your classroom.
Well, that's if it, do you know what? I believe in trying anything and everything, whatever works for you. That is what it's all about.
Absolutely. You know what, Marcia? And what if after your perfect explanation, the student keeps on making the same mistakes, saying like, orange? What do you do?
Orange. I will hold up the board again and say, orange.
Ah,
Ah.
an orange.
And orange. Yes. So if they do make a mistake, the words are normally written there. And then I'll say, okay, now, what would you say for banana? A banana or an banana?
A banana.
A banana. Very good. All right. What would you say for a plum, Marina?
Plum, teacher.
All right. It's a plum or it's an plum?
It's a plum.
Yes, it's a plum. Very good. All right. So that is what I'll do. And if should they get it wrong, it's just a matter of pointing to my magic face or the letters, on my face. And that is how I ultimately do it. All right. Now, how about you, Marina? What are your favorite tricks for teaching a or an?
Okay. I normally go from showing them that this is convenient to pronounce the correct article. For example, let me show you like banana, banana. Convenient. Banana. Good. And banana. Mm. And banana. Mm-mm. Banana. Banana. And same for apple. Okay. An apple. An apple. Ah, apple. Apple. An apple. Like this.
Very good. And what if the student says a elephant? How do you correct them?
Well, I would just engage them to repeat this. A elephant. Uh, elephant. And I show this like make it smooth. An elephant.
Ah, very nice. Oh, but I remember during our rehearsal, you were telling me about the singing one. I think that's a great idea. Why don't you share it with the teachers?
Okay. So this trick comes from teaching the native language to our students, but it works in any language. So when you want to teach them the difference between consonants and vowels, just differentiating between the sounds, I would show them that you can sing the vowel. Apple, egg, but you can't sing a consonant like banana. You cannot. So when you sing, you say an apple,
I
an
like it.
apple. Let's look in the chat. Do we have any nice ideas here?
I don't
Oh,
know. It goes so fast. I can't.
Jackie says, I have a printed hand with the vowel sound written on each finger. Anne is written on the palm, and I show them the
Mm.
hand as I guide. You know what? You can
I used to write
write it
it. So
right
yes.
here. They love being naughty. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you for the great voice. Okay. it is not easy to teach this on level one, says Miss Maria. If you only read, if they don't understand, you really need to show them the picture with the vowel sound. Yes, exactly. The problem here is that we draw the letters, but some students don't know the letters yet. Some of them come from Europe, and probably they use the Latin letters, so they know. Some of them come
They
from
use the
the
capital
other
letters.
countries, and they haven't learned the letters yet. But still, we use it for visualizing. They make this connection between the symbol and what you're explaining. So that will be fine.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're done with the articles and we can move on to the next topic. How much
All
and
right.
how many? Do you think it is
So
tricky?
before we start that, yes, tell Marina if you think it's tricky, but which level is this grammar topic from? What do you teachers think? All right, let's make it trickier. Give us the level and the unit. Does anybody know?
Okay, teacher Lizanne, level two. Not
Yes,
the
very
first, but
good.
how about the
Ah,
unit?
Marinelli.
Unit six, exactly. Yes, you are the
You think
pros,
it's
dear teacher.
six?
I
Oh
think
wait,
you.
yes, I think that is. If I think of
No, I think of unit
um,
eight, if I'm
I
not
think I
mistaken.
think it is eight for the how much, how many. Maybe they are thinking of the countable, uncountable. Because now I forget.
Probably.
Maybe
Countable
it's
and uncountable appears a little bit earlier.
yes, yes, I think so. All right. Now, what should your student know to master this topic? What do you teachers think?
Uh-huh. I mean, we need some basics before we start teaching this. So when they learn much and many, they need to know what? What is the
Mm.
prior knowledge?
Ah, yes, well done, Gerald.
Mm-hmm. And well done, Stephen, by the way, singular and plural. This is not something that comes to our mind immediately, but
Yes, very good.
definitely countable and uncountable and food vocabulary. Cool, cool, cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, Marina, do you explain the
Okay.
rule here?
Yes, yes. Well, honestly, no, I do not explain the rule too much. I just don't want to spend too much time here because I can drill instead. Just grab the flashcards or the toy food or realia and drill the structure till death, whatever.
All right, I understand. All right. And do you teach the terms countable and uncountable to the students?
And again, this depends on the situation. When
Mm,
your student is kind of 7, 8 years old, the majority of the students on level two are. So I would skip the terms because this is too hard for them yet. But for the older students, I would. But again, if I need to teach the term, I love showing them the following. Okay, going from the word count. They already know that from lower levels. Count.
mm.
Okay, count how many eggs? One, two, three, four, five, six, 7 eggs. Count. Countable, right? Count chocolate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 200 little pieces. No, you can't count. Uncountable.
All right. And Marina, sorry, could you demonstrate how do you usually teach this?
Okay, let's go with this slide. So I would start with something they already know. How many is something they know from level one, I think. So I covered this part for a while, right? Like this.
Mm.
And go with this slide. I would circle the food and ask them, how many oranges? Marcia, how many oranges?
Uh, two.
Okay, how many eggs?
Whoa, that looks like four eggs.
Super. Now ask me about nuts.
Uh, Marina, how many nuts?
2. Now,
How many hamburgers?
2. That is it. We have practiced how many, and now I remove this, which covered my side, and go with how much, and I would circle juice and say, how many juice? 1, 2, 3, 4 juice? No, 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 no. How much? Marcia, look. Rice? How many rice? 1, 2, 3, 4 little rices?
Whoa.
No. How
No,
much? Now ask
exactly.
me
All right.
about pasta.
Uh, Marina, how many pasta?
One, two, three, four, 100 pasta? Hmm.
All right.
How much? Right. That is it. So you just go recycling and then you can go with the props to continue drilling this. That is it.
Yes. Oh, who is it? Dell. She said all these pictures makes me hungry at this time. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I do apologize. Grab something to eat. We're not going to see you.
okay. A nice question. How do you cover that while in class? Okay, I agree. I that was a nice trick, but again, you can just use the pencil tool and do it very quickly. It doesn't matter that you paint it all, right? Oh, sorry. Hiccup like this. It doesn't matter if you paint this all. You just do like this in a second, and that is enough. You just need to draw their
Mm.
attention to here. No problem. All right,
All
that
right.
is it.
And yeah, all right. Wait, sorry. I'm just a bit winded. This is, whoa, a lot to take in here. All right. And how do you check that your student understands the difference, Marina?
With the CCQs, of course. And here is where you need your
All
props,
right.
your ELER, your flashcards. You just demonstrate this and that and discuss each particular food with the student. So, for example, Marcia asked me how much or how many?
How many bananas?
Good job. And now let's go for this.
How many pizza?
How many? Like one pizza,
Ah,
this much or that much pizza? Big,
ah,
small?
yes, yes. So it's how much pizza?
Yes.
You can't
Oh, sorry,
count
a
it.
piece of pizza. That is it.
Yes.
So, Marcia, and how do you usually explain this?
All right. For me, I would have already brought it in when teaching my students the countable and uncountable nouns, of how much and how many. But I wouldn't have focused on it. For example, I would have said, how many apples do you eat? Or how much water do you drink? But I would not have focused, on it as that was not the lesson objective, at that time. I would remind them I would remind them though of their countable and uncountable nouns and ask them, how many cupcakes?
One
And
cupcake? Two cupcakes?
yes, and I would make sure that I emphasize this. Can we count them? Yes. One, two. So it's countable. Countable is for many. And then I would do the same for an uncountable noun. I've also got my macaroni and rice in here. And I normally pull it out and say, now how many or how much? And, that's basically it. So then I'll say it's how much because it's uncountable. You can't count pasta or you can't count rice, and I'll say uncountable is for ach, trying to show them that the for uncountable is relates to the ma'ach, in uncountable it stands for uncountable. So yes, that's basically how I do it.
Fair enough. And what if they keep on making the same mistakes, like many soup? What would you do?
Well, I know I have done it once with a student because I drink Pepsi, but whether it's soup or Pepsi, stick your hand in the cup or the bowl. Can you actually count it? Because it's coming out. So, it's liquid. Therefore, it's uncountable. You can't count it. So, if you can't count it, what is it? Uncountable. So, what is uncountable for? Ach. Trying to emphasize it like that.
Uh-huh. And you know what? We have a nice question from Irene. How about the toast? We can count the toast, right? If someone asks you, the student said, teacher, two toast.
Uh, Exactly. I've had so many students, do that, to me and say, but it's two. So yes, two slices. Because hello, if you say you want one, I'll give you one here. This is one bread. And this is bread. So if you want one bread, you can eat this, or remember, bread comes in different sizes, small, medium, and large.
Oh, that's interesting because I never knew how to deal with toasts on this slide. Thank you for the ideas, dear teachers. So we still have a little bit one more interesting topic to cover before the Q&A session. So, dear teachers, you will need to go after the webinar, after the clock hits 11 my time. So look for the feedback form because you will need to fill in to get the certificate of attendance, right? And drop your questions there. We will get back to you and answer them. But if you have time to stay with us, maybe we will need like
Please.
15 minutes. We won't be too late after the set time. Then stay with us because we are going to talk about the trickiest topic of the whole curriculum, honestly. We were discussing that a lot.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Stephen. He says Marcia doesn't drink Coke, she drinks Pepsi. He knows me well.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute that we have a strong teacher community and you obviously communicate behind the scenes, right? So you know the habits of each other. That's so cool. Join the community, by the way, if you are not there yet. That was a
All
little bit of
right.
an advertisement, and we are moving to the
Yes.
present perfect.
Yes. All right. Now, the following grammar topic, whoa, the grammar point, should I say, this one is rather tricky. I find it rather tricky. I don't know
Yes,
how
yes.
you teachers feel.
Just type in the chat. Do you find it tricky or do you love this topic? And while you are doing that, I will give you disclaimer about present perfect. First of all, it has many meanings, and we do not teach all of them in our curriculum. You need to remember that. Second, it is not possible to teach even those several meanings, but just within one level or several units. Although good news is that it evolves within 3 units, not even one, but three. So we have time to teach as much as we can and to reach some level of perfection. But again, we do not require them to be 100% pros of present perfect, right?
Oh,
So,
okay. I do see there is like a level 4 here. Oh, I see Akita also says she drinks Pepsi. I
cool.
like it. All right.
Some
Level 4, Jackie. Very good. Yes, it is from level 4. Now, what should your student learn to master this topic?
An interesting question. Again, we talk about prior knowledge, we talk about which constructions go along with learning present perfect. For example, they need to know have and has and to use it in correct
Mm.
instances. But what else? Again, Irini, if you are leaving, remember about the feedback form. You can watch the
Yeah,
recording later.
and
Exactly,
thank you
regular
for
and
joining
irregular
us.
verbs.
Yes. Sorry, Marina.
Sorry, darling. So, and I think we have past participle. Right, so they need to
Ah, well
know
done.
the third form of the verb. I remember drilling it my whole time at school and so on. That. Okay, so, dear teachers, present perfect is so tricky, right? And which is good. It evolves within several units. So first, it starts with A. We give only one context and one verb, only the verb to be. I have been to the zoo, meaning that something happened today, very near to now. Then in the next unit, we add more irregular verbs, drive, driven, and so on. And we add up one more meaning that something has happened, but we don't know when. We kind of boast it. This is an achievement. I have driven this, not that. And finally, we compare it to past simple in the next unit. So,
Yeah, so Marina, do you actually explain the rule here? And if I may ask, how do you teach these tenses? As I find it challenging, teaching present perfect. Some students of mine, grasp it easier than others. What do you
yeah, I
suggest?
agree. I agree. I also find it challenging to explain each time because the students are so different and you need to find the correct
Mm,
approach. But okay, my favorite way to do this on this level is to draw the timeline. The students are already mature, they can understand the schemes and the lines. So I would draw this right now. And for the event we are discussing, I will put such a dot somewhere very, very close to now. And I type my target sentence here. I have been to the zoo today, right? So I show them that something happened very close to now, but already in the past, today, like this. And
mm.
which is good or not very good is that present perfect has several meanings. And to teach one more in the next unit where we talk about oh, sorry, I need to go talk about I have driven a bumper car and so on. In this instance, I love to give them the situation. For example, don't look at the slides. I show them my own photos on the smartphone when I visited Paris. And I say, you see what? I have been to Paris. Have you been to Paris? And they say, I haven't been to Paris. I have been to Paris. And then I show them the picture where I am the second pilot in a small plane. And I say, I have flown a plane. Have you flown a plane? Kind of I'm boasting. And then they
Mm.
grasp the concept. They start stating, what have you done? What is your achievement, right? That is it.
Oh, thank you, Marina. I will definitely keep this in mind, and try using this timeline thing because I think it's actually very cool. It's a matter of making sure they grasp it. But as it is always good, I like having other options, of teaching grammar. But what if your student keeps on making, the same mistake and confuses the tenses?
I guess we speak about C now when we compare past
Mm.
simple to present perfect, right? So a good way to correct them is to ask when. So for example, if the student says Amber was to London, I ask them when. Amber was to London? When? Last month? Yesterday? When? We don't know. When was Amber in Amsterdam? Ah, last month. So you know when, then it's past simple. You don't know when, then it is present perfect. And
That's
that is
actually
it.
very cool. Yes. Thank
Phew,
you.
I think we're done with present perfect. I,
Yay.
oh, thank you. I see
I,
that the
ho- I
teachers
hope
love the
I hope
method.
it I hope it helps everyone. I find that this timeline especially, that's something I'm gonna steal.
Okay. I was just scrolling the chat and I noticed a nice comment. I call past simple verb two and past participle verb three and has, hasn't, have, haven't been is paired with three, V3, verb three. That's interesting. I mean, I think that Mira meant that if they use the second form of the verb after have has, this is how she prompts the student, right? Then they go to
Ah. Well, do you
cool.
know what? I want to definitely read all these ideas, to see if there's any good tips I can steal, well, not steal, borrow, should we say?
You know what? The chat is saved, so you can go review the recording and reread the chat. And we honestly have to wind up now. So, but before we start summarizing and giving you the final tips, let me just mention that studying English doesn't stop at Novakid. The student gets their B1 hopefully here at Novakid and they move on and they still have plenty of time to learn present perfect and excel their skills in grammar because grammar is recycled as we said. So
Mm.
even if your student does the exercises right now and they do this correctly, they follow the pattern, you do a good job, teacher. If your student already utilizes present perfect but still there are hiccups, you do a good job, teacher. Don't be too strict to yourself.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Marina. Please, teachers, while you are typing here, I do thank you all. Oh, thank you for the tips. Cool, Darren. I think it's Darren. Yes, thank you. It's a pleasure. You are always more than welcome. All right. Shall we summarize the tips?
Yes, sure. So, final tips from us. Tip number one, do not overcorrect if this is not the focus of the class. Remember what I said when you teach present simple, skip the articles during the freer practice, right? Tip number two,
Oh,
tip number two,
do not stop the speaking class and dedicate the whole speaking class to explaining grammar. It's a speaking class.
Mhm.
Speak. Make a note of it, maybe, but, and address it in the feedback or something, but allow them to practice their fluency. It's not all about grammar when it comes to speaking. It's about building up their vocabulary as well. Do you
Okay.
agree, Marina?
Absolutely. This goes about Virtual Explorer and Type to Talk, in case anyone forgets what is a speaking class, because you're focused on speaking. Sometimes you find out that the student doesn't know the grammar, which is incorporated in the lesson, but do not change the lesson type, right?
Mm,
Okay, my next point actually concerns native speakers. We mentioned this at the beginning during the warm up. Sometimes our native teachers who are wonderful, you're all wonderful, but you just know how naturally because you learn this language, but you speak this language from childhood, but you never learn the exact rules. If you ask me,
mm,
about my native language, I cannot form the rule, right? So sometimes it happens that you know how to say correctly, but you do not know or you hesitate about explaining the rule about all the little things and details. In this case, do not be afraid to go and do your research, to go and Google, to go ask ChatGPT, to go to our Ask Your Mentor session. Our mentors will always be there to help you with the way of how to explain some topic, right?
yes. And also, do not expect your students to remember everything they've learned in life. I mean, there's a lot of things I can't even remember what I've learned, and I'm a bit up there now. So, if I could remember everything, wow, I think I'd be Einstein. So, give them a break. I take my hat off to the students. If you think about it, Marina, it's they're so young and we're teaching them so much. And where it takes us like so long to learn something, they do it so quickly.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. All right. Now, teachers, if you have time, shall we move on to the Q&A? Thank you, teachers, for attending. And a big thank you to you, Marina, for your insightful tips on teaching grammar. I apologize in advance if we didn't get to discuss everything, but grammar is rather complex and time is also an issue. So before I forget, oh yes, thank Lisa as well. Although we haven't seen her, she's been helping us behind the scenes. So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, dear Lisa. Thank you, thank you. So, you can type your questions in the chat. We will pick several to answer during the few minutes. Again, while you're typing, I will remind you a bit about the feedback form. It is already there in the chat. Save it right now. Just click on it. It opens. You can type your questions there as well if we do not have a chance to answer them right now. And now let's go with the questions. Question one comes from Stephanie. I haven't noticed the feature of revision old lesson. Where can I find it? It looks very familiar. Level adjustment button. You see it
Yes.
during your trial classes. Now it also appears it is active during the regular classes. When you click it, you go one class here and there. It's easy. Well, next question from Adisola. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. How do you cover that while in class? I think we already answered that, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah, covering the much and many. I said that we don't have this rectangular tool, we can just stroke it. Next
yes,
question
but also,
from,
Marina, what I also think
okay.
that it means, because for me as a teacher, I don't know about the other teachers, but I sometimes don't always manage to get through all my slides. Because, some students, they learn at different levels. So what I do is I break my lesson into two. But then please just make sure that for the next lesson, should you not teach them again, that you've left a note for the next teacher, on where to resume from after they've revised one or two of the previous slides. But yes, I'm not sure if that is what you are asking. So if not, I do apologize. But that's what I do.
Okay, I love this question from Del. How can we help students remember grammar rules when there are so many and it gets confusing for them? Marcia, you teach much more than me. What are your tips and tricks?
Do you know what? I drill them. Let's say continuous, am, is, are, ing. I give like very abbreviated things, for when I'm teaching the actual grammar rules that my students actually remember it. I mean, shame the push. Oh, he's such a clever little boy, like and they're so young. And like I said, okay, what is the rules? For present continuous. When is it happening? Today, now. What do I use? Am, is, are, ing, and they copy me. So it's amazing how they actually, as young as they are, they actually listen to you. And then also, I know that from Esmeralda, one of our mentors, she actually has flashcards with the rules, which I think is so useful. And thank you, Esmeralda, but I do use them as well. So, those are actually ideal. It's whatever is comfortable for you. That is what I feel that you should do. But, these are just things that we use. You need to use what makes you feel comfortable, in my opinion. What do you
You
think,
know what?
Marina?
You know what? I would love to add up an idea to this. I need to reshare our presentation, even to have a free slide to give them some visualizing, some story, especially if these are younger kids. So, for example, for present continuous, I would draw a dragon like this. That was a dragon. A dragon has three heads like
Oh,
this.
okay.
Each head has a name. Am, is,
Oh,
are.
okay.
Um, Now, fly, go, like, whatever is under the wing, and the tail is ing. So I guide them around the dragon when they make a sentence. Okay, each head has a friend, right? I has a friend, am, he, she, it has a friend, is, and so on. So we
Oh,
start with the
very good.
friend, then the
Yes.
head, then under the wing, and the tail. And if occasionally they lose the ing, I say, oh my God, no tail? The dragon has no tail?
That is
Or the
actually
dragon has
very
no
cool.
head? That is it. One of
I
my
like
favorite
that.
ways to explain present continuous.
But I can't draw to save my life. So, but I like that idea. That is actually very good. But do you know what? These are useful tips. And like Marina says, use whatever is comfortable for you. I like it. I'm stealing lots of ideas today. So thank you, teachers.
Okay, we have one final question. Unfortunately, we run out of time.
Yeah.
From Jolina, when a student makes a lot of mistakes in speaking, do you correct each incorrect sentence? I think this depends on the lesson stage, right? Again,
Mm.
if
And
this is
what the
practice,
target language is. Yes. What it is you're
exactly.
teaching.
If this is a practice stage and the student makes the mistakes in the target language, we correct everything. If this is the production stage, then we choose our battles. We pick up the mistakes which we want to correct later, but we do not overcorrect to let them stay fluent. We do not
Yes.
interrupt them even.
And it also make them feel despondent.
Exactly. Well, I think that is all for today. Dear teachers, we had such an enjoyable time with you. We loved
I
talking
did.
to you. We loved your comments, your ideas. Thank you for coming today. I remind you about the feedback form once again for just in case. And we hope to see you again one day. Thank you for
Yes.
coming.
Thank you very much. And thank you for having us. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to all of you, those who have just woken up, those of you who are going to bed or whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Love you, dear teachers. Thank you, and goodbye. Goodbye,
Thank you. Thank
everyone.
you. Bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of your evening or your